AITA. My mom feels my sister should have married my husband instead of me. I, 29F, am really hurt by something my mom said, and my whole family is acting like I'm the crazy one. Maybe I am, or maybe not. I'm not sure anymore. A little background might help explain things better. So, my husband James, 34M, and I grew up in the same neighborhood. But I'll be honest, we weren't close as kids. I was a few years younger than him and my sister, Fran, 34F, who was in the same grade as James. The thing is, everyone in school knew who Fran was. She was that girl. Gorgeous, smart, the kind of person everyone gravitated towards. And yeah, James had a huge crush on her back in the day. The whole school knew about it because he asked her to prom in front of everyone. Fran rejected him. Hard. I still cringe thinking about how that went down. But somehow, they stayed friends. I was younger, so they didn't include me in their hangouts. And I was kind of the annoying kid sister who got left out of things. No big deal, right? Well, fast forward a bit, and after high school, James moved out of state for college, and Fran got married young, at 23, to a guy who seemed like a great catch at the time. Meanwhile, after college, I ended up moving to the same city as James for my first job. My mom, trying to be helpful, suggested I reconnect with him since I didn't know many people there. To my surprise, James and I hit it off as friends. There was no romantic tension at first, it just grew naturally over time. 3 years later, we got married. James and I both have high-paying jobs, and I honestly love our life together. Things with Fran, though, well, let's just say her story didn't go as smoothly. She found out 2 years ago that her husband had been cheating on her for almost their entire marriage. She was devastated, filed for divorce, and moved back in with my mom. The divorce didn't go well for her financially, and since she hadn't worked during her marriage, she's been struggling to get back on her feet. She got a job, but it doesn't pay well, so she's still living with my mom. James and I were really supportive of her during her divorce, especially because she didn't have many people to lean on. And because she and James were friends growing up, they have this bond that I don't have with either of them. They've got all these inside jokes and memories, and sometimes I honestly feel like the odd one out when we're all together. I get it. They've known each other forever, but still, it can be hard not to feel sidelined. Here's where things started to get uncomfortable for me. Fran visits us a lot. I mean, she comes over 2 to 3 times a week and usually ends up staying for dinner, and sometimes she even spends a night in our guest room. At first, I didn't mind. I knew she was going through a rough time, and I wanted to be there for her. But lately, I've started noticing little things that make me feel uneasy. Like how she always seems to come over when I'm not home. And I'll walk in to find her and James hanging out on the couch, watching TV, laughing about some inside joke that I don't understand. It feels weird, like I'm the third wheel in my own marriage. And then there's the way she acts around James. She's comfortable. Too comfortable if you ask me. She'll walk around the house in just a towel after showering, or sleep in her underwear with the guest room door wide open. I've told her it makes me uncomfortable, but she brushes it off, saying we're family, and it's no big deal. James, for his part, hasn't really crossed any lines, but it still doesn't feel right to me. Then came this weekend. I was hanging out with my mom and Fran, and we were talking about old times. Fran started reminiscing about how James used to do her homework for her in high school, and how he'd do little things for her all the time because he was so in love with her. That was awkward enough, but then my mom said something that really hurt. She laughed and said, "I wish Fran had had the sense to marry James instead of that loser she ended up with. Then maybe she wouldn't be in this mess." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I mean, James is my husband. I was floored. I tried to laugh it off at first, but it really stung, so I spoke up. I told my mom that I didn't appreciate those kinds of comments about my marriage. But instead of apologizing, my mom doubled down. She said it just made sense because Fran is struggling financially now, and if she'd married James, she wouldn't be in this situation. My mom kept saying it was just a hypothetical and that she wants both her daughters to be happy. But how could she think that's okay to say? Fran, instead of backing me up, just laughed along with my mom and told me I was being too sensitive. I ended up storming out, feeling humiliated and hurt. When I got home, I told James about it, hoping he'd understand. But he took their side. He said my mom was just joking and I shouldn't take it so personally. I also brought up how uncomfortable I've been with the way Fran acts around him at our house. But he said it's between me and Fran and that he's not going to get involved. So now I'm left feeling awful. Everyone's apologized, but it doesn't feel sincere, and I can't shake the feeling that something's off. I don't know if I'm overreacting or if I have a right to feel this way. I don't know. Ida?